when I was about 6 years old, my parents got divorced. And so I remember it was after a big to-do in the afternoon. And I remember being a kid who my mom came upstairs because they were having an argument. My mom came upstairs to me and my dad went into the room with my brother, the other room with my brother. And I looked at my mom and I said, "Are you guys going to get a divorce?" And she responded and said, "We might." And that was the beginning of me not trusting because I thought the bottom's about to fall out.
Right.
And it did. And so since then, I have lived a life and been battling living as though the other shoe were about to drop. The very thing that I'm afraid of is about to happen. And I remember part of what I lost in my parents getting a divorce was being able to be in the house with my dad and to watch evidence of being able to trust him. And so I remember my dad is a minister in the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church, the CME Church. And when I was younger, he pastored and then he would travel as a, what they call a presiding elder to different places in Mississippi and then sometimes Alabama. And so we would drive from Memphis through Mississippi and Alabama all the time. And there was one particular time he loved this wagon that he had. It was an old Ford wagon that I think he got for $400, which should tell you everything. So he was really proud of this Ford wagon, and we were taking this Ford wagon on a trip, a ministry trip. And one night it was raining really hard, and we came up on a state route to where the road was flooded. And it's one of those things, like my dad is a Black man. It's nighttime in Mississippi. Like the only way is forward. It's like there's nowhere to go backwards. There's nowhere to stop to ask for help. And so we had to go forward. And I remember thinking, how's this going to work? We're in the $400 Ford.
And how old were you?
I was probably 10 or 11 at this point. And so we have to go through it. And as soon as we get in the water, sure enough, the car stalls and it stops in the water, and it's pouring rain outside, and it's dark, and it's really, really late, and it's Mississippi, and it's just me and my dad. I don't know how that trip happened because I have other siblings, but it's just me and my dad, and I start flipping out. I'm like, how are we gonna do? How are we gonna get out of this? Oh my God! Oh Lord Jesus! Help! And he's just like, and he said one thing that has stayed with me since then, and he said, "Have a little faith in me, Janice." And it broke my heart in that moment. Like I could still get emotional thinking, oh yeah, I don't know that I trust you to be able to fix it.
Right.
And when he said it, I felt so sad that that's actually where I was and that's what I was exhibiting, and that he picked up on it, that I got all the way stressed out and fell asleep, because that's my stress response. Like, oh, okay, night, night. I fell asleep. And when I woke up, we were almost home.
Wow.
And that was a lesson where I hear all the time when I am about to flip out and I'm like, oh Lord, this is happening. And I hear him remind me, have a little faith in me.
Yeah. Wow.
Have a little faith in me, because I still to this day don't know how we got out of that flooded situation. And it's probably not even something he remembers.
He probably got out and pushed you.
He probably got out and pushed me while I slept, while I rested. Woo, which just makes me...
That's not a picture.
Golly, I will bawl my eyes, because there was no other way.
Yeah.
It was just me and him. And I bet you he did push that Ford wagon. And so that night was a marker for me that you can trust your dad.
Wow.
You can trust your dad. Even though you haven't had the evidence because of circumstances to show you, or you've had evidence, somebody's had evidence to the contrary, but you can trust your dad. And that has translated, especially because my dad has been kind to me, that has translated to my relationship with the Father, that I can trust him. Because the type of anxiety that I've dealt with has been all about gathering evidence that I see and making a decision about what it means. And the Lord's like, have a little faith in me, Janice. Have a little faith.